So, hello there everyone, and welcome. It is Niran here, and today it is time for episode number 7 of our FIFA 19 Arsenal Career Mode modded for the 2019-20 season. As I always say at the start of this series, it has been a pretty action-packed series so far, with drama literally all over the gaff. I can't think of a single episode we've had so far where there hasn't been some kind of late drama or amazing plot twist or storyline. If you've missed any of the episodes so far, the playlist link will be in the top right of the screen. In the meantime, let's get on with the task at hand. As you can see in the table, we are currently 3 points behind Premier League leaders Manchester United, who have had an unreal start to the season. We've only lost once all season so far. We're almost at the halfway stage, and yet we're still 3 points behind Manchester United. Down towards the bottom of the table, we've got Southampton and the newly promoted Aston Villa and Sheffield United in the relegation zone. We'll actually be playing Sheffield United as well in this episode, bottom of the table currently here. We've got Everton in the league, we've got Crystal Palace in the league as well, and then another game against Everton in the Carabao Cup semi-finals, the first leg after we dramatically defeated Manchester City in a penalty shootout in the quarter-finals. Those are the only 4 games you'll see in this episode because we're going into the transfer window, and we've already got plenty of transfer activity to do. Laurent Koscielny needs to be shipped out of the club, and we need to try and bring in David Luiz from Chelsea. On top of that, I'm looking to bring in some kind of backup as a number 10 / a winger, someone a bit like Henrik Mkhitaryan, but then also performs a little bit better, hopefully. Let me know as well what you think I should do with Henrik Mkhitaryan. Should we sell him in this upcoming January transfer window, or should we keep him for squad depth? What I will say is, although he's massively out of favour in real life amongst Arsenal fans, and I understand that most Arsenal fans would want me to sell him, because of the fact that he's slightly older, it would be quite difficult to bring in a replacement for him for the same amount of money, who's young and obviously of a similar overall as well, so bear that in mind. But a poll for that will be in the top right of the screen as well. Should we keep hold of Henrik Mkhitaryan in this January transfer window? Now, I mentioned Laurent Koscielny, and as you can see, we've got a bid for him from Napoli. Now, if you're wondering why we're getting a bid for him, on Christmas Day, actually, so Napoli feeling very festive by gifting us £8.6 million as a Christmas present. If you're wondering why we're selling him now, it's because his contract actually expires at the end of the season. So if we're going to get any money for him, we have to sell him before the 1st of January. Obviously, if you're Napoli, you just wait an extra week, but the game isn't intelligent enough for that. So we're going to negotiate a little bit here for Laurent Koscielny, but I can't really afford to be too stingy, because if they reject this, the reality is we may not get anything for him at all. So I am going to counter, and we're going to counter at 9.7. Now, we're only simming one game in this episode, and it's the first one, a Boxing Day fixture against Everton. The reason I'm simming this one is because we're playing them later on in the episode in the Carabao Cup, which is probably a bit more important given we are quite late on in the stages of that cup competition. So we're simming this game. We're playing Sheffield United next. As you can see in this festive period game, Everton have gifted us the chance of getting the lead of the game, with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang finally breaking his goal-scoring duck. His strike partner Alexander Lacazette gets his customary goal, and Sead Kolasinac has made it 3-0. We are really turning teams over with ease in sim games at the moment in this series. The first played game of this episode is coming right up for you, folks. It's Sheffield United at the Emirates Stadium for you in this one. The reason I'm keen to play this game is because we actually already simmed a game against Sheffield United this season. It's just different, isn't it? We don't get Sheffield United in the Premier League very often in career mode series, so I'm gonna play against them. It's your top scorer in the league, Alexander Lacazette. Get used to seeing that cutscene, because it's gonna happen in every single game if he keeps the top of the Golden Boot chart. 13 goals it is across the season for Alexander Lacazette. Many, many more for us as a team. They've only scored 6 times. Fam, it's been 18 games. Billy Sharp needs to get his act together there. It is New Year's Eve in game. It's the 30th of December, and we are officially halfway through the season. We had to grind out some results last time, and in the end, we didn't even in all our games. If you cast your mind back to the last episode, we actually lost our unbeaten record thanks to a 1-0 defeat at the Emirates against Burnley. One thing I didn't actually mention in the build-up to this game was we're playing quite a young centre-back partnership. William Saliba and Rob Holding both playing in this game because Socrates and Koscielny are tired. Ball goes out wide, and Rob Holding, with the use of his gentleman's area, does the job, and somehow Aubameyang's kept that in. Gunduzio's given that away in a dangerous area. Ollie Norwood here into Freeman. Baldock, ball in, is headed clear by Rob Holding again. Still Sheffield United on on the ball. They're probing. They've dominated the possession in the final third. We've barely been near their goal, really. Ceballos, though, might have unlocked the door, and here is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang bearing down on goal. Aubameyang should have scored. I don't know, why has he not opened his body up? I've pressed RB, and instead of finessing it like a normal FIFA player and opening his body up to all that space, he's literally outside of the boot and it's straight at him. Phenomenal. Well, that's a wasted opportunity from Aubameyang. From the resultant corner, it's cleared off the line. That was Granit Xhaka. This, though, is Alexander Lacazette. Through the middle here is Aubameyang again. Can he finish this time? Straight to the keeper again, and Ceballos can't win it in the air. Two golden opportunities for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he's missed both of them. Maybe he's just forgotten how to score because he's been playing as a winger. This is Granit Xhaka, who scored another thunderbolt. He hasn't forgotten how to score. It's a top bin screamer from Granit Xhaka at pretty much the same time in the game where he scored against Wolves. It's a very similar goal, except this time it is right into the top corner. Guendouzi lays it off. Sheffield United haven't learnt from their predecessors' mistakes. You don't give Xhaka that kind of space on the edge of the area. He's taken the fight to Henrik Mkhitaryan for goal of the season all on his own right now. Well, that was a nice... I can't say we've been, like, the best that we could possibly be in this game, as Sheffield United put one just over the bar. Guendouzi now wins that in a dangerous area. Sheffield United can't keep hold of the ball. It might come back to haunt them. Lacazette, though, denied by a vital touch there from Sheffield United's right back, and that signals the end of the first half. Here's Billy Sharp. He's not had much time on the ball. His centre-mid partners have had a lot of time on the ball, but Billy Sharp up top for Sheffield United hasn't really been able to get into the game, and that's credit to the youngsters, William Saliba and Rob Holding, who've both been really, really solid in this game so far. Now, the Blades have got a corner here. It's going to get swung in by Ollie Norwood. It's a decent enough ball, and a bicycle kick from Billy Sharp. I mean, I said he hadn't been in the game much. If he puts that in, he's well and truly in the game. Towards the near post, I think it's Xhaka who can't quite get there. Kolasinac as well. Wouldn't have thought this Sheffield United team had only scored 6 goals all season, to be honest with you. Like, they've had their moments where they've actually created some decent little chances, and it seems like, you know, they're not missing absolute sitters all over the gaff or struggling to create stuff. This is Dani Ceballos. He'll dink it through. It might even still reach Aubameyang. He flicks it over his head. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang makes it 2. That is absolute quality. He brings out his traditional front flip celebration. 10 minutes into the second half. It is 2-0, and we are seeing some really, really nice goals in this game. It's fortuitous that it reaches him. The little nod down into the flick. The ball doesn't even touch the ground after he nods it, then flicks it over his head. The volley is too hot to handle for the keeper. Feeling a bit more confident about this game, because to be honest, Sheffield United were putting up a really solid fight. Baldock here down the right-hand side again. Aubameyang does well, but then gives it away. This is very dangerous. It's played against Leno, and it spills across the penalty area. Very fortuitously, and Lucas Mecha, who's just come on the pitch, I think he plays for City in real life or he's on loan, has got one back for Sheffield United. That's such an annoying goal to concede, because Aubameyang won the ball back and then just got pulled back off it again. Of all the goals Sheffield United could have scored, they've had some really nice build-up play, and it's that goes in. That was the only lapse of defensive concentration we'd had. I think it was because our centre-backs thought that Aubameyang had just won the ball back, and then he got pulled back, and both Saliba and Holding were kind of out of position to deal with the rebound. Here's Matteo Guendouzi sprinting forward of all people. Ceballos back towards Guendouzi again. He's not scored in this series, and he still hasn't, because the goalkeeper denies him. I think Guendouzi has actually scored in a sim during the course of this season, but he definitely hasn't scored in a played game as far as I'm aware. All down the line here into Norwood. Needs to be dealt with. Bernd Leno, thankfully, is commanding in his own area. He'll pump it long, and that should be the end of the game. Referee blows for full time, and that is the end of what ended up being quite a tense fixture against Sheffield United. To say they're bottom of the table, they don't deserve to be based on that. I've played many, many easier games than that in this series so far. Your man of the match, Matteo Guendouzi. I was saying that whenever he plays, he's very consistent, and once again, he's brought out a very good rating. 9.4, very solid. Good news here in that Napoli and ourselves have agreed a £9.3 million fee for Laurent Koscielny, who has been dubbed quite the Judas amongst Arsenal fans recently. I'm happy to see him out on his way. Whilst we're waiting on the Koscielny deal to go through, though, it is time for another game in this episode. We're now into the new year. The first game of 2020 is an away fixture fixture at Selhurst Park as we face Crystal Palace. We had a difficult game against Sheffield United. I'm expecting a similarly tough challenge here. These slider settings are definitely doing the job. I cannot lie, the slider settings are doing bits. This has suddenly become a much more difficult series, and I'm sure both myself and you guys are loving that. Crystal Palace are not in the top 10. What I will say is they've got an absolutely peng shirt this year. Anyway, enough about... This is basically the Pen Kit Derby is what this is. Look, listen, I'm blabbering on. It's time to get into the game. This is one of the first times, actually, we've worn this alternate kit. I think we've only worn it, like, once before in this series, so hopefully it offers us some luck, and it might do from the get-go. It has! Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang can't stop scoring now. 3 minutes in, we're 1 goal to the good here against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace had kickoff as well. How have we scored within 3 minutes of this game? Lacazette back heel, Ceballos into Aubameyang, and he cushions it past Gayata. That was a very quick start to proceedings, and Crystal Palace are giving the ball away again. Ceballos laid off. Granit Xhaka was thinking about another thunderbolt. Instead plays it to Aubameyang, who cuts back and puts it wide. So close to grabbing his second and our second of the game. Maybe should have done better. To be fair, I feel like I aimed badly, so I'll take the hit for that one. Really impressed with Matteo Guendouzi. He's made Ainsley Maitland-Niles work a little bit for that pass, but apart from that, he has been so good in this series, generally speaking. And now it's set up Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who sends Martin Kelly, I think that is, for chips. Now into Lacazette. Ball in behind to Nicolas Pepe. He gets there, but Ceballos can't turn it in. Nicolas Pepe genuinely doesn't stop running. Like, it's actually a joke. How can he have so much energy? His stamina doesn't even get that low either. Oh, what a challenge from Granit Xhaka. Why was that so satisfying? Aubameyang, Guendouzi out wide here is Nicolas Pepe. Forced a little bit wider than I would have hoped. Back towards Guendouzi. It'll come as far as Granit Xhaka, who works a little bit of space, goes for the shot, but it's a simple one for Gayata. Oh, that all started with a Xhaka challenge. If it had ended in another Xhaka thunderbolt, I would have probably screamed. Granit Xhaka. This is Matteo Guendouzi from the edge of the area. And yet again, Gayata's gloves are warmed, this time by our French youngster. Ball in from Henrik Mkhitaryan to the edge of the area for Granit Xhaka. Come as far as Reiss Nelson. Lacazette. Granit Xhaka back into Lacazette. Oh my goodness me. What a second goal in this game. Lacazette scored again. Could we just talk about that assist though from Granit Xhaka? Granit Xhaka's on a madness in this episode. Look at this ball through. It's chipped up and Lacazette's volleyed it in across his body. Oh, that technique genuinely needs a shower because it is absolutely dirty. From Alexander Lacazette, it's goal number 15 across the Premier League season. Inside here for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. That's Reiss Nelson through the centre, and Reiss Nelson almost scores. Gayata, though, does well to smother the ball. Ball in is a dangerous one, and it should be cleared. Xhaka nods it away. Back into the danger area, though. Matteo Guendouzi clips it over the top to Reiss Nelson. It's classy as you like. Reiss Nelson's on his bike again. He'll stretch away from Sakho with the amount of stamina he has. He puts it to the back stick towards Aubameyang. It'll come to Xhaka, but his control is poor. This is Connor Wickham here for Palace. Great ball in, and the clean sheet's gone again. Cheku Koyate might have got some late hope here back for Palace. 5 minutes to go. Probably should have closed down Wickham a bit better with Kolasinac. Holding kind of loses his man. Socrates can't get there. And Palace now are in a position where they can equalise. They've got 4 minutes plus additional time to do so. It's squeaky bum time suddenly. We could end that as Alexander Lacazette gets the ball and he puts it wide with the finesse. We look to be controlling this game pretty nicely now as we reach the end of it. Crystal Palace have a singular minute to get it up the other end of the pitch. They could do so as well. Patrick Van Aanholt's running down the left-hand side. He's gone past Maitland-Niles. This is dangerous. It needs to be cleared. It is. Reiss Nelson gets there as well, chests it down. It seemed calmer than it was, but hearts were beating towards the end of that one. It's been the holding midfielder show in this episode so far. Yet another man of the match for a midfielder, this time Granit Xhaka. And there you have it. Laurent Koscielny is out of the door. He's going to Serie A. He's going to Napoli. Now, there are literally 0 prizes for guessing who's going to be coming in to replace Laurent Koscielny. We're meeting up with Frank Lampard, and, I mean, is it a shock at all? David Luiz is the man who's going to be coming into the side. 80 overall, 32 years of age from Chelsea. Obviously made the move from West London to North during the course of the summer transfer window, but I'd already left that transfer window when it happened in real real life. Anyway, his current value is 13 million, so I'm going to offer, like, just below that. I'm going to offer 11. They want 11.9. You know what? I'm gonna propose 11.5. I'm going to haggle with your sunshine. You're new to this managerial business, all right? I've been doing this since FIFA 13. Bow down to my demands, all right? Now it is time to negotiate for the Brazilian. A 2-year contract is absolutely calm with me. Crucial squad role, will disregard a release clause, and he's actually announced his own wages, which is nice. He wants a pay cut, 48k. I'm actually going to remove that second bonus because I'd rather just pay him more on wages than have to pay 650k. Submit that offer, and he's actually fine with that. He doesn't even want any more in wages. So David Luiz is an Arsenal player. You love to see it. And here he is. I'm sure you know him well enough by now. David Luiz, the Brazilian, comes in from Chelsea, 80 rated. His pace and stuff has decreased quite a lot, given he has aged quite a lot since the days where he was an ultimate team beast. 85 interceptions, 81 vision, 86 aggression. Also really good on heading accuracy, long passing, shot power, short passing, and both tackling stats. He's more than just a defender. He's someone that's good on the ball, and he's got really good distribution as well. So I'm very much looking forward to using him. And just for those concerned, he does now have the correct number, which is 23. Now, though, it is time for your final game of this episode, and it is that first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-finals against Everton. It's a bit of a changed side. David Ospina comes in. I think it's the first time we've played a goalkeeper other than Bernd Leno in a played game. Kieran Tierney's in for Kolasinac. Bentancur also starts, as well as Jean-Philippe Mateta and new boy David Luiz. Fresh after the signing from Chelsea, he's straight into the starting 11 to partner Socrates. Honestly, I had no expectation of getting this far for pretty much the majority of the City game, because they took the lead after about 2 minutes and then held the lead pretty much until the final minute of the game. Idrissa Gueye leads out Everton, even though he's actually joined Paris Saint-Germain in real life. Speaking of transfers, it's a player debut for this man. David Luiz is starting his first game since his £11.5 million move. He looks good in the banana kit, ladies and gents. It's the first time we've seen Jean-Philippe Mateta all episode, by the way, which, given how good he was last time and how much he completely saved us, is probably a bit of a crime. Everton, interestingly, playing a couple of youngsters, Mason Holgate being one of them, but they've got a guy called Connolly up top. He's been found here by Gylfi Sigurdsson, but he's being chased down by David Luiz and Socrates. That, though, is into Sigurdsson, and that is into the back of the net. David Ospina hasn't been seen in this series so far, and his first action of it is to pick the ball out of his own net. Gylfi Sigurdsson with a usually clinical finish, and it's put right into the top corner. It looked a little bit off balance, but he still fired it in past David Ospina, and we're 1-0 down again. Listen, we were in this position with City. Bukayo Saka won us everything. It's all good. We'll just bring him on again later. It's calm. Back to Pepe again. Overran it there, but it's still come to Ceballos. Gonna play it back into Pepe. This now is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who cut back really nicely. Still Aubameyang, Mateta, Rodrigo Bentancur. Maybe a pass too many. This is into Ceballos, though. It isn't a pass too many in the end, because we've equalised with just 3 minutes of the half to go. Danny Ceballos runs to the away fans, and we are back on level terms. Right at the end of the first half, it looked as if, honestly, we'd squandered that. There was so many passes where maybe we could have just turned and made the space, but in the end, we're patient. Ceballos really nicely on his left foot plays it across the goalkeeper into the far corner. It's been a while, I think, actually, since Ceballos scored. I swear, I don't even remember the last time he scored. Ceballos now into Mateta, who'll clip it back over the top here. Into Ceballos again with the volley and palmed away by Jordan Pickford. Ceballos had gone multiple games without scoring. He almost scored a second in 5 minutes. The second half, still very much all to play for. Obviously, we've got to remember this is a two-legged affair as well, so we've actually got an away goal. Theoretically, we are leading this tie on away goals if it's obviously 0-0 in the second leg. Mateta, Granit Xhaka. This is Aubameyang. Oh, it's just wide of the far post. Is that a save? Pickford celebrating it as if it's a save. Let's take a look. I swear to good... Oh my God, that's actually going top bins. What a save! Jordan Pickford, take a bow. I just thought that went wide and even clock that was a save at first. Unbelievable scenes from the England #1. David Luiz from the resultant corner. Tests Pickford again. This time it's much more comfortable for him. Just realised we've got two long-haired boys on the pitch now. Guendouzi plays it to David Luiz. Now we're just 2 minutes this game to go. Henry Onyekuru with the shot. And David Ospina is up to the challenge. Spectacular save from him. Henry Onyekuru onto the pitch literally just now. That is a great effort and a really good save to match it. Morgan Schneiderlin is onto the pitch and it's now time for a corner for Everton. It's deep. Ospina comes, but he doesn't get there. Disaster from the Colombian. And Michael Keane, with a minute to go, gives Everton the lead. It's moderate limbs here at Goodison Park. If this was a normal cup tie, it would actually be limbs, but thankfully for us, there's a second leg in which to redeem ourselves. Oh, David Ospina. You know what? I didn't actually call him out. He's come a long way from home, to be fair, as the backup goalkeeper. And in what really was not his only chance to shine in this series, but certainly a big chance, he's cost us a goal. It's a 2-1 victory in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-finals for Everton at home. A late header from Michael Keane after a bit of a goalkeeping disaster class from David Ospina means that Everton had the advantage going into the second leg that you'll see next episode. Well, there you have it. Dani Ceballos was your man of the match despite being on the losing side. 9.4 for him and a 9.3 for Bentancur. So a little bit of late cup disappointment there, but we can still redeem ourselves. League table-wise, we're still second place, still 3 points behind a relentless Manchester United. They just keep on winning. That conveyor belt of W's is just carrying on. They're still top on 57 points. We are currently on 54. Now, here is where it gets interesting for you guys. This is going to be the last action of this episode, and it is down to you as to what player we bring in next in this transfer window. To be honest with you, I feel like we do need another number 10 / someone who can play as a number 10 and a winger as well. Kind of like a Mkhitaryan, but better. Now, depending on whether you guys voted to sell Henrik Mkhitaryan at the start of the episode, we might have quite a lot of money to bring in another player, but at the same time, I'd probably like to bring in a replacement for Mkhitaryan then, and then the player that we're about to bring in. Basically, we're going to bring in a player regardless. If we sell Mkhitaryan, we'll try and bring in two. And I've got quite a few options for you to choose between. So, as you can see, first of all, we've got James Maddison of Leicester, 78 overall. That is not James Maddison's face. I will fix that for next episode. But James is someone who's been doing super well in real life. He's certainly attracted the attention of some of the big clubs and certainly the England manager as well. On top of that, a much more experienced option and a little bit cheaper is Dimitri Payet from Marseille, which I think would be a really interesting one. Keeping up that French connection we've got going on. Obviously, Aubameyang is from Gabon, but it's French-speaking. Lacazette is French. Got Nicolas Pepe from French-speaking Ivory Coast. Jean-Philippe Mateta up towards the top of the pitch as well. On top of that, we've got Amadou Haidara. Now, this guy's a bit of an outside option because, to be honest with you, value for money-wise, because he's got a release clause, might not be the greatest option, but he might be a little bit more versatile. He's the type of player that you could play as a centre-mid or as a winger, rather than realistically Payet and Maddison, who we would really exclusively play as attacking mids, even though they can technically play as wingers. And finally, we've got David Brooks, who on his own is the most expensive out of all of them, but because Haidara has a release clause, we technically have to pay more for him. The Welshman from Bournemouth has really impressed in this series actually as well. When we played Bournemouth, he was really, really good. Kieran Tierney's debut was somewhat of a baptism of fire because of this man, and obviously he's done really well in the Premier League in real life too, so he is another option. Once again, like Maddison, in order to bring him in, we probably would have to sell someone. Regardless, it's basically down to you guys as to which depth number 10 we bring in. That, though, is going to wrap up today's episode of the Arsenal career mode here on FIFA 19, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on this one and subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It's at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.